didn't know that your wife
Did
got
this.
urinated on and then found this out in court.
That's a lot.
Could you handle that?
But let me tell you, not only because he had left, he was in the back of the court, and then he went. I think they took up to like a back room. But the girl, you know,
Diddy's
all the
kids.
Diddy kids are there,
Yeah.
right? So his daughters are there. I was sitting behind them. It was awkward for me to watch them have to listen to all of this. After he started, the male Esther started getting into a lot of the masturbation and stuff. They got up and left.
Who told him to leave? Did Diddy say leave or?
No, Diddy didn't tell them to leave. I don't know if there was a conversation or not. I looked up from writing and I saw them get up, so I don't know. But I know that they were like checking on each other throughout. I saw them ask like Christian at one point, like, "You okay?" Because
What would you do if your own father was accused of things that you couldn't even sit in the courtroom without crying? That's exactly what Diddy's daughters have been going through. These girls are stuck in the middle of something no child should ever have to witness. Since Cassie's lawsuit, things have only gone worse. But recently, in court, they hit their breaking point, walking out in tears as horrifying testimony was read aloud. Let's rewind a bit because this nightmare didn't start today.
And speaking of D-Rock, I know Cassie, she testified that D-Rock would tell her to put an ice pack on her face after Diddy would beat her up.
Yeah, I can see that. D-Rock is a very charming person. He's very charismatic, you dig? Just my opinion, and shout out to him. But I feel like D-Rock was trying to do right by Puff.
Cassie's lawsuit was the spark that lit the fire, and since then, Diddy's world hasn't stopped burning. In that initial case, she laid out years of abuse, manipulation, and control at the hands of Diddy. He accused him of not only putting his hands on her, but also forcing her into disturbing situations, like hiring escorts, making her watch them with other men, and subjecting her to humiliating and degrading acts. The details were dark, graphic, uncomfortable, but while the internet was busy picking apart every line of Cassie's claims, it was easy to forget there were people behind the scenes dealing with this in real life, like Diddy's daughter. From the moment Cassie came forward, Chance, Jesse, and Delilah were thrown into the center of a firestorm. These girls were still in high school, dealing with prom, finals, college applications, and suddenly they were also trying to cope with the fact that their father was accused of orchestrating freak-offs and violent control. This wasn't just a public scandal, it was a personal unraveling. The media was relentless, the fans were loud, and through it all, the girls had to show up, smile, pretend they were okay, even as their father was being painted in the worst light imaginable. But just when they thought it couldn't get any worse, another woman stepped forward. And she didn't hold back. The newest lawsuit against Diddy came from a Jane Doe who claimed she met him back in 2001. At first, she said everything seemed normal. They went out to clubs, restaurants, and hung out at his studio. But then things took a turn. She alleges that during their fourth meeting, Diddy became violent and forced himself on her in his apartment. But it wasn't just the assault claims that shocked people, it was how detailed and humiliating the lawsuit was. The woman described Diddy's private parts in ways most wouldn't expect to hear in a courtroom, let alone in a legal document. She claimed she was relieved when he exposed himself because his size didn't seem threatening, describing it as lacking both length and girth. According to her, it looked like a Tootsie Roll, a small one. And as soon as this thing came out, the internet sleuths went crazy. A person commented saying, "I can't even lie, this man's entire ego just got destroyed in one paragraph. You can't come back from being called a Tootsie Roll." Another one added, "Forget fame and money. Diddy might be the most humiliated man in the country right now. His poor daughters. This is beyond embarrassing." Now imagine being a teenage girl and this is how the world is talking about your dad. Chance Combs, Jesse, and Delilah have been showing up to court alongside their father. Some people saw that as loyalty. Others thought it was part of a strategy to make Diddy look like a devoted family man. But whatever the reason, these girls were sitting front row as some of the most graphic and traumatizing details were laid out in court. One of the key moments that broke them came during Daniel Phillips' testimony. Phillips, a male escort, claimed that Cassie had hired him to sleep with her under Diddy's instruction. But that wasn't the disturbing part. He testified that Diddy would sit in the corner of the room while the act took place and touch himself while watching. That kind of testimony is hard for anyone to hear. But for Chance, Jesse, and Delilah, it was too much. Sources say the girls left the courtroom in tears multiple times during these graphic accounts. They couldn't sit through it. Who could blame them? Just imagine hearing a stranger describe your father watching from the corner while he pays someone to sleep with his girlfriend. Then imagine being surrounded by strangers, reporters, cameras, everyone documenting your reaction. That's the reality these girls are living in. They weren't just attending a trial, they were reliving nightmare after nightmare and doing it in public. And if you thought that testimony was hard to sit through, wait till you hear what fans think is really going on.
Mr. Combs, is this not the perfect father-daughter date night?
I'm speechless. I am speechless. Baby, you look so beautiful. So beautiful. She's a future actress. Her name is Chance Combs. Chance, you tell her.
Yes, I'm an aspiring actress, and it's my first time at the Oscars, so I'm really excited to be here.
A big question floating around social media is, why are Diddy's daughters even in that courtroom to begin with? Sure, they might just want to support their dad, maybe it's a family decision, or maybe they genuinely believe in his innocence. But fans aren't convinced it's that simple. A lot of people think their presence is more strategic than emotional. They believe Diddy is using his daughters as visual shields. Think about it. Every time a graphic or disturbing claim is made in court, there are 3 young girls sitting behind their father. It sends a message. Look, I'm a family man. Would someone like me really do all that? It's not a new move in celebrity trials either. Tory Lanez brought his young son to court during his trial for shooting Megan Thee Stallion. Fans called it an emotional manipulation tactic. Rihanna and AAPA Rocky did something similar, bringing their baby to Rocky's court appearance in LA, likely hoping to soften public perception. And now, Diddy's pulling from the same playbook. But unlike the others, Diddy's daughters are old enough to understand what's being said in court, and that's what makes it all feel more uncomfortable. They're not toddlers who won't remember this. They're teenagers hearing every horrifying detail, watching their dad sit through allegations of abuse, assault, and voyeurism. But even loyalty has its limits, and fans are starting to notice cracks in the daughter's support. After the new Jane Doe lawsuit dropped, the internet exploded, not just because of the seriousness of the claims, but because of one humiliating detail: Jane Doe's description of Diddy's private parts. She claimed it looked like a small Tootsie Roll. Within hours, Twitter and Instagram were filled with jokes, memes, and hashtags mocking Diddy. People called him Itty Bitty Diddy, Baby Puff, and even Mini Mogul. For a man who built his entire brand around power, masculinity, and dominance, that kind of public drag was brutal. But it wasn't just funny to the internet. Some fans started connecting the dots, asking if this could explain why Cassie was allegedly pressured into hiring male escorts. Was Diddy insecure? Was he trying to live out fantasies he couldn't physically perform? The jokes became theories, and the theories became more ammunition for Cassie's original claims. And again, guess who's caught in the middle of all this? His daughters. Every joke, every meme, every nickname, it's another reminder that this isn't just about Diddy. It's about the people around him who have to live with his image being torn apart in real time. And guess what? Even Diddy's own former bodyguard had something to say about that.
Diddy has said this. He said, when I give a party, I have to have an ambulance outside of the house. Paramedics ready. That people have to take IVs. Remember the time that him and his mama kissed each other on the lips? Do you remember that both of them was getting an IV at the same time? That's from the Diddy Freak Off party.
Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, has been talking for a while now, but lately people are starting to take his words more seriously, especially since the lawsuits are backing up what he's been saying all along. Gene claims he personally witnessed Diddy organizing freak-off parties where women were brought in to perform for Diddy and his close circle. He said these weren't just wild nights, they were planned, transactional, and disturbing. According to Gene, Cassie wasn't the one who wanted these women. She was used as bait, a decoy. The escorts weren't for her, they were for Diddy. He also said Diddy wanted to watch. He didn't always get involved directly. Sometimes he would just sit back, allegedly recording or touching himself while watching everything play out. This lines up exactly with what Daniel Phillips testified to, that Diddy would sit in the corner during his paid encounters with Cassie. The crazy part? Gene said he warned people for years. He talked about how young women were being groomed, how staff around Diddy were scared to speak up and how most of the women involved didn't really want to be there. It all seemed wild at first until the lawsuits started dropping and the pieces started clicking into place. And this isn't just gossip. Receipts are lining up in all directions, even from Hollywood insiders.
I have kooky dreams. I dreamt once my memories were chocolate raisins in a jar, and people could go and take the memory and suck the chocolate off the raisin to get my memories.
There's also a blind item that's been making the rounds, allegedly about Diddy and actress Sienna Miller. According to the rumors, their relationship didn't just end because of normal issues, it was heavily influenced by substance abuse and, surprisingly, Diddy's struggles with performance. Fans think this connects back to the Jane Doe allegations, especially the claims about his private life. It adds another layer to the picture that's forming, a man dealing with more than just legal battles, but personal problems that affected those closest to him. With all this piling up, Diddy's daughters tried once to defend him, but now that defense is cracking. Remember the rumors around Kim Porter's death? Chance, Jesse, and Delilah publicly came out with a heartfelt statement. They asked for peace, truth, and respect during that difficult time. At that point, they seemed united behind their dad, standing by him through thick and thin. It felt like family was sticking together no matter what. But that was then. Now, with these court battles exposing every painful detail, their united front is showing signs of strain. It was easy to stand by him when it was just rumors, but now that the courtroom is exposing everything, the tears say it all. Chance, Jesse, and Delilah are still teenagers. They're trying to navigate school, friendships, and all the usual ups and downs that come with growing up. But none of that is easy when your family drama is played out in courtrooms and across the internet. They didn't choose to be part of this mess. They didn't ask for their dad to be at the center of allegations this serious, and yet here they are, forced to live with the fallout every single day. The emotional toll is heavy, and while the cameras focus on Diddy's legal fight, these girls are quietly carrying their own burdens. And while Diddy's legal team fights for his freedom, his daughters are left fighting silent battles of their own. So what do you think? Should the daughters have been kept out of this, or were they trying to stand by their family the only way they knew how? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you thought this was explosive, wait till you see who just flipped on Diddy next.